Hey YouTube, Joe Walker here at Def Digits Guitar Lessons, and I'm live streaming a lesson right now for my student Andy. And we've done a lot of work on strumming patterns, Andy and I have, and we've gotten to the point where I'm able to play a strumming pattern, just like a random strumming pattern for Andy, and he's able to figure it out by ear and then duplicate it back to me. Not really watching what I'm doing, but just listening to how the rhythm goes, and then he's able to figure it out and put that together. So I want to give him and you this mental trick that I use it's like I use it constantly now. It's like part of my language of how I think about rhythms. This is the way I process strumming rhythms. When I'm doing strumming patterns, it's really the rhythm, it's the sound of the thing. And then that will, I translate that in my head to how do I do these down and up strokes and when do they need to happen. So here's what I've got is one measure charted out into the 8 different places where you can put eighth note strums. So if I'm doing something like this, hold on, if I'm doing something like 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and the fastest thing I'm doing there is eighth notes, going 1, 2, 3, and 4, and dun, 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 dun. Or if I'm doing something like this, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4. So most strumming patterns line up like that, where the fastest thing you're doing is eighth notes. So that's like the highest resolution that you have in time for the space of one measure. You've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. There are other ways we could chop it up, but this is the way to start visualizing this before you do the more complex stuff. So what I do mentally, and I'm going to show you this physically so you can see what I'm doing in my head, and you can try something physical like this too if it helps. But if you get the concept, then you can just do it in your head or write it down on a piece of paper or whatever. So what I'm doing is I've got it all marked out with all the possible places that I could strum, which would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and I'm going to take these little sticky notes and just put them randomly on some of those spots. I cannot put any of the sticky notes between the and or the number. Like I cannot put it on a line like that. That's the rule. It has to be either on the and like this, or it has to be on the beat like this one. So I'm just going to randomly put a few of these in here. Just like that. 1 and 2, 3, 4. That's where we have the stickies right now. And that's where I'm going to do my strums. So in order to figure out how this goes, first thing I need to do is I need to know, or I need to have feeling in my gut, the 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that tells me when all the ands are supposed to happen. We definitely do not want to look at this and say, okay, it's 1 and 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2, 3, 4. Totally not the times that those things are supposed to happen. The 1, 2, 3, 4 is like our yardstick. It tells us where exactly the beats are supposed to go. Those are the regular things. And the ands between the beats, those are the pluses on this page. You say and for that plus moment. The and goes exactly right between those two beats. So if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4. That's where we get that strum. This extra strum on the and. And when I speak it out loud, when I say the beat out loud, I don't say any of the ands if they're not being used. I always say all 4 beats because that's our yardstick. But if I'm not using an and like this, I'm not going to say it out loud. So I'm going to say 1 and 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2, 3, 4. And that's how I'm going to count it. If I didn't have this 3 here, like that, I would still say the 3. That's my rule for counting, is always say the beats because that's your yardstick. That's how you know where everything goes. Only say the ands if you're going to use them, if you're going to strum at that moment. So let me try doing this strum, and I'll show you some tips on how to process this. So 1 and 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2. a couple other things I did there that that I should tell you about. One is I'm alternating chords so that I can hear clearly where each strumming pattern starts. If you change the chord every time you come around to beat 1, I'm just going back and forth between G and C. If you always change the chord at beat 1, then you can clearly hear that this is the start of this pattern. You stay on one chord the whole time, then you risk hearing it start at a different place. Like maybe you're feeling the start of this at beat 3 after you've gone around a number of times. So make sure you always change chord when you come back to beat 1. The other thing is the strumming. I'm following a rule very consistently with my ups and downs on the strumming. I always go down on the beats and I always go up between the beats. That's the rule no matter where we put these stickies. You go down on the beats and up between the beats on the ands. So let's do a couple more of these so you can see some more examples. I'll do this one where I took that beat 3 off. And now we've got 1 and 2, 3, 4. That's how we count it. It doesn't tell us exactly how to strum it. 1 and 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2, 3, 4. So we can start to envision this, imagine the sound of it, kind of like speaking the guitar part and just go like 1 and 2, 3, 4. Jun jun jun, jun 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 jun, jun 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 jun, jun 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 jun, jun. So you can start to envision how it's supposed to sound. I don't know what I was singing there. It doesn't matter what note you sing as long as you're vocalizing the rhythm of how the guitar is going to go. So now I can take that sound of dun 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 dun. Now I can start to feel it without thinking about numbers, without counting, without doing any of the analytical stuff. I can feel it now. Dun 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 dun. Even before I start thinking about which ones are down strums and which ones are up strums, I'm already sort of doing it. If I'm going dun 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 dun. Just like that. So if you're feeling it and you're vocalizing it while you're doing this with your hands, or specifically with your right hand, maybe there's a pick in your hand, maybe you're doing it here on the guitar, you're already airplaying that stuff while you're saying the rhythm out loud. Hold on, I have a question in the background. You have a question? Okay, go ahead. So the next thing we can do here is start to move some of these around. I'm going to do several others in rapid succession, and I'm going to keep beat 1 there the whole time so that we can always hear the new chord as it changes. I don't want to take that one off. It's a little bit confusing to try to feel that first beat on the chord without having a strum there. Let's try this. There we go. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. That's how I count it. Say all the numbers every time. Only say the ands if you're going to use them right here. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, dun 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 dun. Dun, 2, dun 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 dun. Dun, 2, dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Let's try just taking one of these off, like that. Now I'm going to count 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. Dun 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 dun. going to move this one over here. When you want to make this process simple for yourself, do more of the beats, put them on the numbers more often. When you want to make it more challenging for yourself, put them on the and between the numbers more often. So this one will be a little more challenging. We have 2 ands in a row and only beat 4 over here, aside from beat 1. So now we're counting 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And I'll slow it down a little bit. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Dun, 2, dun, 3, dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. So I'm not going to do any more of these right now. I'm going to show you a different variation on this, but hopefully that shows you the process that you can use to take this concept and give yourself various levels of challenges. You can make it easy on yourself by doing the beats, make it a little harder by doing more of the ands in between. But this whole process I was doing, I was not thinking about which ones are down strums and which ones are up strums at all, really. I was following the rule of down on the beats and up between the beats on the ands, but I started with the rhythm, started with the count and the sound of that rhythm. The sound is going jun 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 jun. So you could do that sound, you could do that rhythm on a piano or on a drum set or anywhere else that doesn't require down strums and up strums. On the guitar, we have to translate that to this feeling of down and up strums. So as soon as you start thinking about like, oh, this one's a down strum, and then it's followed by another down strum, and then followed by an up strum, then you stop thinking about the sound of it and the rhythm of it, and then you're doing too much math in your head, too much analytical stuff about which way is my arm supposed to be going, rather than what's this supposed to sound like. So with that in mind, if that is still a struggle, there is a trick that you can do. Where's my pen? There it is. There's another trick that you can do that might make this a little bit simpler to see which way your hand is supposed to go if it's still a struggle to figure that out by feel. So what we can do is, let's do this. We're going to pre-write all of the strums, and then we're going to cover some of them up. Or we can select them with these sticky notes. How's that? So the only way we can possibly strum on beat 1 is down. The only way we can possibly strum on the and is up. The only way we can possibly strum on beat 2 is down. So this follows all the way through. If we're going to strum at a certain moment, it has to be a certain way. We can only strum up on the and, we can only strum down on the beats. So we can use the stickies to select which places we're going to do these. And then we can see down below, this is like our cheat sheet of which way are we actually going to end up strumming at these moments. So let's do this. Make it a little bit easier. Put that one on B3. So now we can look at this and we can see that, yes, it's going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4. Dun, 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 dun. We can see down here which way we're going to strum. Down, down, up, down, 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 up, down. And then if that's the way that you think of strumming patterns, you can use that as your gateway to get into feeling this and feeling the rhythm internally and having that connect with the way that you're moving your arm. Down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down. And if I move this back to where it was, where it's a little more challenging with that up strum by itself there, then we get down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down. The problem with this is the risk when you do it this way, is if you're thinking of down, up, down, if that's the way you think of the strumming pattern, down, up, down, That could be anything. Down, up, up, down. It doesn't tell you what time to do those things at. So you should try to never think of a strumming pattern as the order of the downstrokes and upstrokes. It's not like a pin that you enter into a keypad, D-U-U-D. It has more to do with the rhythm. It's the sound of the thing, it's the feel of the thing, not the downstrums and upstrums. That's not the fundamental part of it. So use this as a cheat sheet. Don't use the downs and ups down here as your primary means of thinking of the rhythm. That's all I've got for you today. I'd love to see what you come up with if you have your own version of doing this in your head, or if you have your own version where you've written something out and you have something physical to show off. Tell me about it. Email me, joe@deafdigits.com, or leave a comment below. And I will see you next time. Thanks for watching again.